William K. Murtaugh, Murt Witness 1, and today I'm going to discuss what has to be the most classic exercise of futility that I've ever seen. That fiasco yesterday, where a bunch of QAnon conspiracy morons descended on the U.S. Capitol, did more to damage QAnon than it did to help. And some of the damage was caused by those who supposedly support QAnon. And I'll get to that in a little bit, because it's not just the obvious things that people have talked about. It's some subtle things that spell out the impending end of the QAnon phenomenon. The QAnon is going to be ending, and it's going to be ending sooner than anyone might think. Now, the actions that took place at the Capitol is an act of insurrection. And what's quite funny about this is that a QAnon known as Randy Q is actually defined insurrection for everybody. So everybody knows what insurrection is. And those who participated in the more serious aspects of what happened at the Capitol yesterday faces a charge of insurrection. They also face a charge of terrorism, domestic terrorism, excuse me, as was announced by the Metropolitan Police Department, otherwise known as the DC Police. The FBI is also circulating a request for information on anyone on Capitol grounds during this act of insurrection. And one video that came to my attention today has been sent to the FBI. It features a woman that people call Dr. Tammy at the Capitol. And so Dr. Tammy is probably going to be one of the people that the FBI will be interested in talking to see exactly what her activities were when at the United States Capitol. Now, there's a reason I called this an act of futility, because that's exactly what it is. I don't know what these people thought they were going to accomplish by breaking into the Capitol, smashing windows, going into the offices, ransacking them, possibly seizing and destroying the electoral ballots. But it would have been futile for any number of reasons. First of all, if they had destroyed the electoral ballots, the only thing that would have happened is each state would have resubmitted them. There are duplicate records in case something goes wrong, like the things get lost in the mail, they get misplaced, or what have you. There are multiple copies of the certificates in the, so the process was not going to be stopped. Now, another thing that came out is that some of these people who broke into the Capitol had police-style zip ties on them, which means that they were going to take members of Congress as hostages. And so whoever it was that had those zip ties may be facing charges of attempted kidnapping of a government official. And again, this strikes at the terrorism charge that is going to be levied. The evidence of people having these kinds of zip ties in a raid on the U.S. Capitol can be shown to be criminal intent to support a kidnapping. So, there's a lot of people out there who thought it would be fun to invade the United States Capitol that have a lot to worry about, because they may wind up in jail. The employers of these people are not going to be happy once they are identified, so they may find themselves out of a job. They're going to get ostracized by people in their community for this little stunt. So the future of those who are part of this mess in the United States Capitol have a bleak future. Their lives are going to be turned upside down by a majority of people that are downright angry at what happened yesterday. They talk about people being angry about votes and all that, which is false. There are people now that are going to be angry at this group of thugs that stormed the United States Capitol, created all kinds of destruction, and basically screwed up the democratic process temporarily. And again, this is futile because the Electoral College went ahead and did its duty. The votes were counted, and Joe Biden won. That's the end. Now, the conspiracy theorists will go on for however long people pay attention to them and say, look, here's fraud here, fraud here, fraud here, fraud here. And there will probably be some corrections in the process to make sure that no president could ever pull a stunt like was done this cycle, that assurances will be even stronger that there will be a fair and legitimate voting process in this country. You know, that much is going to come out of this. Any mistakes that were made will be corrected because the public is going to demand it. But the public is also going to demand something else. They're going to demand an accountability to everyone, including those in the government, for what happened at the Capitol yesterday. They are going to want people thrown in jail. They're going to want any law enforcement officer that enabled this little mess to be fired and or disciplined. Any public official, like several that were identified in the pictures, are going to be told to resign, or there will be recalls in areas where it's possible to do so. But they are going to pay for this. You know, and social media has its own form of justice, because right now there are armchair detectives combing through all these pictures of people who were there, people they know, like Dr. and Tammy and others, and they're going to dox them. And it's not just any one person that's going to do doxing. There are going to be tens of thousands of people combing social media to identify those who took selfies of themselves in the Capitol, who were on the staircase where the woman was shot, which is the next topic of my discussion, and those that were stealing government property, ransacking offices, sitting in chairs, desecrating the halls of Congress, sitting in congressional chairs, and so forth. These people are going to go to jail. They are going to be identified. People are going to know who they are. And they are not going to be in a good position when the dust settles on all this. When QAnon goes away, when the blogs diminish, maybe these people will migrate over to Parler into nowhere land and stick an occasional video up on BitChute or some of these other weird sites that are out there. But they're going to be gone. They're going to be forgotten. Including that so-called journalist from Minnesota. He's already being forgotten about in this mess, and he will continue to be forgotten about. His brief stint of fame with his crackpot lawyer on Twitter came to an abrupt end because the lawyer has been kicked off of Twitter. So his 1 million followers are now sitting there saying, where the hell did he go? Well, he was on the losing side. He was on the side of the insurrection. So Twitter said enough of this shit. Because Facebook, Twitter, even Parler, and some of these other big tech companies have a problem now. Because Donald J. Trump is no longer in power. Donald J. Trump is no longer there to protect them. And neither is the Republican Party, because it has been weakened extensively. The Republican Party will cease to exist as we know it. Because people in the Republican Party just got their asses whooped big time. And they know that in order to survive, they are going to have to make some mighty big changes. And so you're going to see a cleanup process take place within the Republican Party like you've never seen before. Now, does this mean that we're going to go hard left and get all the things that the hard left want? No. Because this is also going to be the end of political extremism, both on the left and the right. People are going to recognize that you cannot go to extremes, that there has to be a balance somewhere in the middle to whatever it is we all want to have done. And so progress is going to be made, it's going to be gradually, and it's going to be less controversial. And that starts January 20th. It actually starts today because Mitch McConnell knows his days are numbered. He's not going to be able to do anything in 2020 except use whatever leverage he may have to help Joe Biden out. But since he is no longer going to be the majority leader, there are going to be some really strong changes to how Congress works. Because payback is a bitch. Whether you like it or not, the Democrats are going to seek revenge for what's happened the last 4 years. And they're going to give it to the Republicans just like the Republicans gave it to them. Now, fortunately for America, the Democrats are not like the Republicans in that whatever happens, those of us who are ordinary people are going to benefit from whatever it is the Democrats do, whether you believe it or not. All you people that are megas and Party Q and all these other weird groups, you're going to reap the benefits of the Democrats, even though you didn't want these benefits. So don't take advantage of them when they come out. But your lives are going to be richer, fuller, better, and healthier because the Democrats are in charge. You just don't understand that yet. And the corporate giants who were behind the Trump reign of terror are going to be paying a huge price for backing them. Their taxes most certainly are going to go up. Loopholes are going to be closed. People aren't going to be able to write off yachts and airplanes when the dust settles and all this. So, corporate America might as well face the inevitable. Now, they're not going to suddenly find themselves dirt poor. They're going to be wealthy. They'll continue to make boatloads of money. But they're going to have to pay more of it to the United States government. And we're going to have an additional $2,000 a piece to spend on whatever it is we want to spend on. Majority of us will be spending it on rent, utility, and food. But there are people out there that are going to, maybe buy exhaust for their Jeeps or a ton of beer or whatever. The rednecks are going to have a field day with money coming from people that they didn't support. But as people start to wake up and see that having Donald J. Trump as president of the United States wasn't such a hot idea, they're going to abandon QAnon like poison. QAnon will go back to where it came from. It'll be on 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 channels. It'll be on all the obscure, dark internet websites where these people can preach to the choir. And maybe one or two of these nuts may be made on Twitter to brag about something that's not true. And they're going to have to find some really creative excuses for what happened. Because every single solitary prediction that they made has not come true. Not one. We do not have JFK Jr. as President of the United States. We don't have mass arrests for these fake charges of child trafficking and baby sales and eating babies and drinking their blood and all this other nonsense that came out. There's not going to be any arrest of fish or lizard people or any of this. It was all a futile effort. It was all a bunch of crap. These people rode a wave of fame for a brief period of time, and now they're going to go nowhere. They're going to be huddled up in their basements. They're going to be locked up in their cars full of junk. But they're not going to be worth bothering with. The people that are going through the court system now have lost and are going to continue to lose. The women who believed in the Children's Crusade and the PPTF are going to find that they can no longer see their children. They will go to jail for one, probably for the rest of her life, because she murdered somebody. Murdered a fellow PPTF E-Clause member. And as the ongoing FBI investigations start getting their cases together, people are going to start going to jail. We're going to see all these indictments come out. And we're going to see people going in jail. Because the one result of what happened yesterday is that all those complaints that have been made to the PPTF about the PPTF and the Children's Crusade and the fake Joint Operations Special Command websites have all come to the top of the heap of paperwork on their collective desk. Because this little stunt at the Capitol has finally woken up the FBI to the realization that they need to crack down on these people. That part of the reason the raid on the Capitol happened was because of the conspiracy theories being thrown out there by the PPTF and these other fake groups that have sprung up. You know, Trump ain't going to be around to brag about it anymore. And I don't care if there are people out there that believe in Trump or not. This group that I am talking about did. They used Trump to forward their agenda. They thought that they had someone that they could brag about for the next 8 years, and they just were told, nope, you don't. Your days are numbered, folks, because your idol, the leader of your little cult, is gone as of January 20th, if not sooner. There's already talk of invoking the 25th Amendment and getting him out of office by Monday. Kind of weird because he's only going to be able to, we're only talking about a week to 10 days, not actually 2 full weeks because it takes time to do this stuff. But it doesn't take 2 weeks to do a lot of damage to this country. He can do damage right now. And so they need to get him the hell out of office in their mind. And so that's going to happen. And so then all these QAnon groups, the PPTF and everybody else is going to have to come up with a reason why this isn't a bad thing. That just because Trump is gone doesn't mean that their cause is gone. I'm sure they'll come up with a creative excuse. But it's not going to last as long as it would have been if Trump had stayed there. That little stunt at the Capitol has accelerated all this. I expected that we were going to have a problem with QAnon well into the year. That's no longer the case. We're not going to have a problem with QAnon anymore because a lot more people have woken up to who these people are. And a lot more people are going to realize how dangerous these people are. And they're going to say enough is enough. They're going to demand that law enforcement at every level crack down on these people so we don't have something like this happen again. Now, there's always the possibility that some of these militia groups are going to go and do this again. If not the Capitol, somewhere else. Maybe a state capital that runs into this problem. You never know. Because these people have no discipline. They just go willy-nilly and do something stupid. Now, what we are lucky in this situation about is that these people did not carry guns. That we did not have hundreds, if not thousands of people storming around in the Capitol shooting up the place. Fortunately, nobody got a gun from a law enforcement officer and went on a shooting spree. And shooting brings me to this. The single most stupid, futile efforts that amounted to nothing. That someone did something extremely stupid for no constructive reason. And I'm talking about the woman that decided it would be a cute idea to try and go over a barricade by climbing through the window of a door. The last thing she did on this planet. For the minute she started to climb in that door, she was shot, dead. And she became a spectacle as she lay there, bleeding to death. All these MAGAs standing around with their GoPros, their smartphones, their cameras, snapping pictures of her, like they were at an execution or something. It's just people have this thing about when they see something weird, they take out their cameras and start shooting instead of trying to help. These people didn't budge to help get the woman to medical services or anything. And so they may have caused her death. And what's interesting from my information I've been getting is that whoever is declared the leader of this insurrection may get charged with her murder and the death of 3 other people that occurred during this insurrection. Because, as I stated on Twitter and elsewhere, the Washington, D.C. police, as well as the FBI and a number of other government agencies, are going to be charging the leaders of this insurrection with domestic terrorism. And with the Democrats coming into power, that is going to happen. And it's going to take longer to investigate and levy the charges than Trump is going to be in office, so he's not going to be able to pardon these people. And since the Washington, D.C. Metro Police is not a federal agency, it's a local agency. District of Columbia is not a state, but it's not a federal agency either. Their police force is local. It's like a big city. And so they will be the ones to levy charges. They will be the ones to get prosecutions. And the President of the United States is not going to be able to pardon these people. He just can't do it. So any QAnon out there that thinks they're going to get pardoned for this little stunt, it ain't happening. And so let me get back to this woman. Now, this woman is an Air Force veteran, which means she should have known better. If she survived this, she probably would have been court-martialed. They don't posthumously court-martial people, but they might posthumously revoke any recognition she got. Now, if she got a medal for anything during her active service, they can be revoked. But she paid the ultimate price for her stupidity. She died. She got shot. And she's on her back, getting humiliated by people taking pictures of her while she lay dying by her own allies. And guess what else happened? This is the funniest thing yet about all this fucking joke. QAnons are saying, oh no, it was Antifa. It was paid actors. There's one individual on Facebook that is saying that it was a paid actor. They drew little circles on the tattoo on this guy's chest saying this guy's a paid actor. In spite of the fact that he's probably one of the better known QAnon's presences out there, he's also been pictured out of costume with Rudy Giuliani. The guy's name is there in print. Everybody knows who he is. And yet these morons are going around saying it was Antifa. You know, as these people are being identified by both law enforcement and people that know who they are, it is coming quite clear that Antifa was nowhere near the Capitol. They decided to stay away and let QAnon and the Proud Boys and all these other morons sink their own ship. And that's exactly what's happening. This woman's death and the 4 others occurred during the commission of a felony. And anyone participating in a felony can be charged with aiding and abetting. Because they were participating in a felony in which somebody died. Doesn't matter that it was at the hands of a law enforcement officer, the person died. So it's considered murder in the commission of a felony. It's right there in black and white. You people can look it up. Even Kirk Pendergrass can look it up. You know, was it worth this woman's life to go storming the building that resulted in absolutely nothing except the 15 minutes of fame for these morons? in a way to fill up jail cells. Because they've already arrested 68 people. There's one sealed charge. And for that charge to be sealed at the present time means that somebody is in deep shit. And that will be unsealed in due order. As soon as the Justice Department feels like unsealing that particular gem, we're going to know who is being prosecuted under this law, who the first person was to feel the wrath of the federal government, to answer to the Justice Department for the little stunt that happened yesterday. So, there's a lot of people out there that might want to start looking around for lawyers, getting their finances in order so that they can pay for these lawyers, and getting their affairs in order, because they're more than likely going to go to jail when the dust settles in all this, and this means a whole hell of a lot of people. Because people in Washington are mad about what happened yesterday, and these people are in a position to do something about it. And anyone who has taken a selfie of themselves, or who have done videos, or done anything while on Capitol grounds, the FBI has your videos, your selfies, your pictures. They have audited your social media accounts. They have ordered Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Parler, and even BitChute to archive everything. Do not delete the accounts. Deny access to them if you want, but the accounts are to be preserved because they are evidence. There are court orders flying around like hornets. Search warrants flying around like hornets. There are FBI agents being called into service all over the United States to start looking at images, to start pounding on doors, start talking to neighbors, start talking to employers about pictures of people that were at the Capitol and in the Capitol during this insurrection. And it'll come out that this wasn't Antifa that did this. This was QAnon. This was the Proud Boys. This was white supremacist groups. And so we're talking about hate crimes now. Because even that's going to start getting enforced. All the racism and bigotry that has happened in the last 4 years is going to get a lot of people thrown in jail. There are going to be some new laws to come out. And so the downside of what happened is going to come out. These people are going to pay a huge price, which is probably why they wanted Trump elected, because they knew that if Democrats took control of Congress, that they were going to pay a horrible price for what they've been doing. And that's exactly what is going to happen. The Democrats are now in charge of 2 out of 3 branches of government, the Congress and the presidency. They do not have control of the Supreme Court, but they really don't need it, because the Supreme Court's probably going to back them up. Because the Supreme Court is not supposed to be about politics. The Supreme Court is supposed to be about the law. And people found out about that the hard way when President Trump lost 60 cases and growing in the Supreme Court and elsewhere. Had 60 court cases. Tell them to go pound sand. So the reality's here. The next 2 weeks, we're going to see excuse after excuse come out of these people, but it's not going to amount to anything. Because as of January 20th, the shit's going to hit the fan. Preparations are being made right now. And state attorney's offices all over the United States to start going after QAnons and the Proud Boys and all these other fringe groups that have sprung up over the last decade. People that are going around pretending that they're government agents, that are running fake government agencies, are high up on the Department of Justice list. And the people that President Trump pardoned, ooh, just wait. Those people are in for a rude awakening. Because, yeah, oh boy, we got pardon, we got this, we got that. Yeah, well, guess what, boys and girls? You better get ready to put your left hand down on the Bible and raise your right hand to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, because you are going to find yourself in court as a witness. And you will not be able to plead the Fifth Amendment, because by accepting your pardon, you have admitted your guilt. And now you have to cooperate with the United States government. You have to cooperate with state attorneys that you pled the Fifth with or kept your mouth shut, hoping that Donald J. Trump would give you a pardon, because now you are the canary in the cave. You are the stool pigeon. You are the giver of information. Because there are going to be hearings, there are going to be trials, and you will be there as witnesses. You know, Trump didn't think about that when he pulled off the stunt of mass pardons. He didn't think that, oh boy, I can get off the hook. I'll pardon all these people for keeping their mouths shut. And when I am reelected, I'll just put these people in places of power and we'll have ourselves a gay old time. Well, guess what? That's not going to happen. And I guarantee you the people that were pardoned are now going to realize that they are in a world of shit. Because now they have a Congress that wants payback. They want to pay back the people that enabled the worst actions of Trump over the past 4 years. They're going to go after the enablers. They're going to go after the family of Trump because they have committed very serious crimes. And it doesn't mean, if Trump is stupid enough to pardon his children for federal crimes, he ain't going to be able to pardon them for state crimes. The state of New York is out for blood. They got 21 counts just waiting against Donald Trump alone. And his sons and his daughter are in for a world of shit. Because these people aren't king of the hill anymore. They're going to be private citizens in a couple weeks. And at noon on January 20th, 2021, people are going to be in a whole shitload of trouble. And that's the legacy of this tin pot dictator. And this is the legacy of this woman who was shot for doing something stupid. Doesn't amount to shit. For about a week or two, she's going to be remembered as the woman that got shot at the Capitol. And then she'll be a distant memory. People aren't going to care. Her husband's going to have to deal with the funeral and cleaning up any messes this woman made. He's already having to put up with the FBI handing him a search warrant and going through everything in the house because they want to know everything there is about this woman. And so he's going to have to talk to the FBI. Members of his family, her parents are going to have to talk to the FBI. There's going to be a bunch of people talking to the FBI and the local state attorney before all this is done. These people's lives are going to be turned upside down. And the media is going after them. You know, they're going to be talking about this woman and about how she got all screwed up going to QAnon and getting involved at QAnon. And the QAnons that talked her into this are going to be brought out by the Department of Justice and by the social media. So there's a huge price that's going to be paid for this one act of stupidity that didn't amount to shit. Didn't accomplish anything. The woman died for nothing. Nothing changed. Before 2 p.m. yesterday afternoon, Trump had lost the presidency of the United States. They thought by storming the Capitol and seizing the Electoral College certificates that they were going to accomplish something, that they were going to have Trump remain in office. And they got a rude awakening. It did just the opposite. Because this is the ironic thing. There were senators and there were House members that had filed objections in various states in an effort to throw out the election and start the process all over again. They withdrew their objections. Most of them did, including Loeffler. Loeffler was a woman from Florida that said the minute she gets on the floor of the Senate that she was going to vote to have the returns overturned. That she was going to vote against Georgia, she was going to vote against Pennsylvania, and so on and so forth. She withdrew her objection. The whole reason for her being there just blew up. She turned on Trump. Said, I don't want any part of this. She got a big round of applause. She ain't going to be there in 2 weeks anyways. She got nothing to lose. And I don't know what happened to Perdue. I guess he's at home sick, so he didn't hear. I don't remember hearing his crap in the halls of Congress because he's done. You know, we got 2 Democrats coming from the state of Florida with an agenda. And they're going to remember all the things that Trump did and all the things that the Republicans did. And they aren't going to be in a position to help the Republicans. They may not crucify the Republicans, they may not call them out, but when it comes time to sit behind the desk and sit in those leather chairs and to start writing bills and start making their little speeches, the Republicans aren't going to like it. And the Republicans aren't going to be able to do shit about it because they're in the minority now. They're the minority party in both houses of Congress. And they have a president who has the power of executive orders. And one of the first things that's going to happen is every single executive order that President Trump put into place will be gone on January 21st. A few short weeks from now. They will be gone. So, everything that Trump did is going to get cleared up sooner or later. Some things that he did will not be able to be repaired. But what's funny about all this is even the judges that Trump appointed have turned on him. Because they are not loyal to Trump. They are loyal to the rule of law. And they're not going to just follow Trump around like a puppy and one of those fat old women wearing the funny little red hat and making goofy faces to the camera saying, oh, that's not true. It was Antifa. It wasn't QAnon. And she was right there. People like that are useless. They're not going to do you any good. So, Biden's going to come in and he's going to straighten out the mess. He's going to clean house, literally. They'll go through all the appointments that Trump made, all the hires that he made in the administration, and these people will be summarily ousted. They will go through and clean up all the Trump loyalists that have been hired. And there's going to be changes made so this nonsense doesn't happen. And before you bring up the unions, remember the unions are largely Democratic. And the unions are going to negotiate in a way to where if somebody pulls a stunt like this again, even members of the union who sided with Trump are going to be accountable for their actions. So the union's not going to protect you for very long. If you think the union can come in and say, oh, no, civil servant, you can't. Got news for you, dude. The government's got some very highly skilled, highly paid lawyers, and they can go through and clean house. So Biden and the people he appoints are going to make life hell for the Republicans, whether they like it or not. Now, there may be compromises because, Biden is not a vindictive person. He knows people in Congress personally. He knows what makes them tick, and he knows how to get through to them. So there may be some bitching and complaining and crowing, but the people are going to find themselves with a very, very powerful president and a very, very, very powerful vice president who used to be a prosecutor. Now, this is something that QAnon might want to start worrying about, and that is Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is an experienced prosecutor. And she is likely, right now, using her influence within the Justice Department to start the ball rolling. So that when the Democratic administration takes over in less than 2 weeks, that the shit can start hitting the fan. That the men in black, the FBI agents, the guys with the little squiggly things in their ears, and the Uzis packed under their jackets can start going around with search warrants and arrest warrants and start the cleanup. And their main target is going to be QAnon. Because QAnon is the one that started all this. And the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, all these people are going to finish it. And right now, the United States government is working in secret, talking to the British government and saying, look, what is it going to take for you to give us Julian Assange? Because now Trump isn't there to protect this clown. UK said they're not going to extradite him, and since they're not going to extradite him, Trump can't pardon him because he's not here. He's a foreign citizen. Julian Assange is not an American. He's a socialist. Which is funny. All these people are against socialism, and here they are supporting Julian Assange. What a joke of these people. They don't even know who it is they're defending. And the guy is a pedophile. There is substantial proof that he fucked a child. An underage child. That's called pedophilia, guys. And that's another thing. One of the most prominent people in the QAnon movement has been accused of child abuse. And he's as much confessed to it. It's in court papers that I've got. I haven't reported on the story because I got sidetracked by this Capitol raid. But in the months to come, I might get into it if it's relevant. Because this so-called reborn JFK may find himself a casualty of war. That because Trump is no longer going to be there, that JFK Jr. is no longer relevant because he ain't going to be vice president. He ain't going to be nothing. He's just going to be another conspiracy nut on a dwindling fan base. These people are going to tuck themselves in a little corner on Parler, and we'll never hear from them again. There may be the occasional tweet, or this moronic idiot over on Facebook may share stuff, or the dead journalist may publish stories about him, but eventually he's going to go the way of a past fad. If he's not arrested first in the great QAnon purge that's about to take place. And so I recommend everybody out there that has a gripe with QAnon, get your screenshots going, get your DVRs going, start archiving. Because I guarantee you, in the coming days, you're going to start seeing QAnons disappearing from the internet. These people are going to start shutting down. Because they don't have their God at the helm anymore. Trump is going to be gone. And they're going to be stuck with a bunch of mad Democrats. And so you might as well surrender to the truth, shut everything down, and go away. Otherwise, you're going to go to jail. You probably will anyway, because taking stuff off the internet ain't going to work. Number one, as I mentioned earlier in this video, archive orders are going out like postcards to tech giants, saying you can deny access all you want to these accounts, but you are to archive them because we're going to want them for evidence. We're going to want them off your servers and in our hands so that we can start filing arrest warrants and subpoenas and start grand jury hearings and all that. You know, that's what all you people out there have to look forward to. You know, you got yourself mixed up playing these war games, and now you are going to become the casualties of war. You are going to be held accountable by both the Justice Department and by the public. Because people have long memories. People are going to know the damage they suffered, and now they're going to know who it is that inflicted that damage, and they are going to want payback. And there's all kinds of payback that will be dispensed by a whole bunch of people. Thousands of people, millions of people. The millions of people that voted for Joe Biden, the millions of people that voted for Hillary Clinton, the millions of people that believe in what they believe and not what QAnon believes in. They're going to want people to be held accountable for their actions, both in court and in society. It's not going to be just one person going around and exacting vengeance. It's going to be millions of people. You know, just look up how many people voted for Hillary, how many people voted for Biden, how many people voted for Democrats. That's tens of millions of people. 10% of 8 million people, 80 million people, is 8 million people. If just 10% of the people that voted Democratic remain angry enough to go after QAnon, QAnon's in a world of hurt. Because those millions of people that voted for Trump are going to run away from QAnon like nobody's business. Not all those 70 some odd million people that voted for Trump were part of QAnon. There's only a small part. There's only a few thousand people, maybe a million or two, that were influenced by QAnon directly. But these other people are going to see this little insurrection that happened yesterday as a defeat for Trump. Because they made a bad situation worse by storming the Capitol. They made people mad. And they've weakened the cause. If these people think that by raiding the Capitol, they did any good, they are in for a rude awakening, because they have made things worse for their movement, such as it was. Because again, people are going to want payback. You know, there's people out there that respect our institutions. They respect Congress or the Capitol. You know, that's our heritage there. You know, destroying the Capitol is like burning the United States flag. That's a symbol of freedom in this country. That's the home of our democracy. It's where democracy takes place every day. And these hooligans just tried to destroy that. They acted like ISIS. They acted like Osama bin Laden. You know, people don't realize the U.S. Capitol was one of the targets on 9/11. Because there is proof that Congress was the target of the plane that was taken down in Pennsylvania. That Congress might have been the target of Osama bin Laden. And so these people that broke into the Capitol yesterday were doing Osama bin Laden's work. You know, ISIS over in the Middle East are probably laughing their asses off. Because here, QAnon, the Proud Boys and MAGAs are doing their work for them. You know, that's giving aid and comfort to the enemy, what happened yesterday. It's an act of treason. You know, they actually helped the cause of the Soviet Union because they used information based on what was generated by Russia in countries that were part of the former Soviet Union. That all these rumors that have come out in the last 4 years was generated by Russia and their allies. It's been proven time and again. And the PPTF and TCH and all these other people, they used this Russian propaganda to bolster their positions. They gave aid and comfort to the enemy, to a foreign power. And they don't realize it. The Department of Justice does, because they're looking into it. They're looking into the people that have been feeding these people information. The PPTF, the Children's Crusade, the High Command, all this stuff. You know, there are going to be charges of treason coming out against certain people by the time the dust settles on all this. Because their actions contributed not only to what happened yesterday, but their Department of Justice is still looking into what happened at Nashville with the Nashville bomber and the information that was sent on those flash drives. Because you're starting to get pieces of a puzzle now. You got this piece here with the DC incident. You got this piece here dealing with the Nashville bomber. You got this piece dealing with the PPTF and the fake Joint Operation Special Command and the Children's Crusade and the incident that happened in Arkansas. And this is all an organized crime investigation, a RICO investigation. And as they start to connect the dots, and as the puzzle pieces start to come together, and these various investigations and these different agents start talking to each other, and from Minnesota, from Washington, D.C., from Utah, from California, they're going to realize that there are some people there that need to go before a grand jury. And that's what's going to start happening. So celebrate now while you've got the ability to celebrate, because you ain't going to be celebrating too much longer. You're going to heed the warning. Don't turn your back when you reach down to pick up the soap off the floor. So until later, this is William K. Murtaugh, Murt Witness 1. Have a good one.